Hello guys, welcome back to my After Effects tutorial channel. This is Rhandz from Rhandz Graphix, and before we will start, I just want to let you know guys that learning from others is one of the vital ingredients for achieving proficiency. Okay, so if you learn something from me, don't hesitate to share it to others. Instead, be proud of it because you deserve it. So guys, without any further ado, I'm gonna show you what we are gonna be making today. Create a new composition, name it logo placeholder. 1100 by 1000 pixels, 30 frames per second and 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Open folder assets, open image folder and the logo folder. Drop down this logo into the timeline. Press this on your keyboard for the scale. Scale it down to 25%. You can change your logo in terms of size depending on your wants, okay? Then go to footage. I will highlight all these footages and I will drag this down to the composition icon to create multiple compositions. Make sure that this is highlighted. Click OK. Then double click your mouse to open it up and to check the timeline. As you can see that it's only 10 seconds duration. Change this to 15 seconds. All you have to do is to go to composition, go to composition settings, change this to 15 seconds. Click OK. Go to time and enable time remapping. Then extend this layer up to the end of your timeline. Also the keyframe. I'll just speed it up guys because I don't want you to wait. You will do this to the rest of the compositions. I will open this fractal. As you can see here, it's just 6 seconds and 20 frames, so I will not change the timeline of this for now. So all I have to do is to go to composition, create a new composition. I will name it texture. The size is 1100 and 1000 for the height. 30 frames per second and 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Then I will drop down this texture one into the timeline. Press S on my keyboard for the scale. Change the scale to 74%. Go to Effects and Preset. Go to Distort and add CC Tiler. The scale amount, change this to 46%. Go to Composition. Create a new composition. I will name it Logo Light Animation. 1500 by 1000 pixels, 30 frames per second, 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Then go to your project panel, highlight this logo placeholder, drop it down into the timeline. Go to Effects and Preset, go to Color Correction, Curves. Then make sure that your playhead is at the beginning of your timeline. Drag down this graph like this. Then create a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch on the curves. Then move your playhead to 6 seconds and 15 frames. Move back your graph to where it was. Highlight this layer, press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Move back your blade to 3 seconds duration and move this keyframe on that duration. This is what we got. So now go to composition, create a new composition. Name it Logo Textured. 1500 by 1000 pixels, 30 frames per second, 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Then open project panel, highlight this logo light animation, drop it down into the timeline. Open project assets, open footage, highlight this texture and drop it down into the timeline. Go to Effects and Preset, go to Color Correction, add curves. Change the curves like this. Go to Effects and Preset, go to Channel, Set Matte. Change the take matte from layer to logo light animation and check this composite matte width. Go back to Effects and Preset, go to Color Correction and add tint. Highlight this texture, press T on your keyboard for the opacity. Change the opacity to 25%. Change the blending mode here to multiply. Go to Composition, create a new composition. I will name it Overlay. 1500 by 1000 pixels, 30 frames per second, 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Go to Assets, open it up. Open this image folder, drop down this texture tool into the timeline. Now go to Composition, create a new composition. Name it Logo Emerge. 1500 by 1000 pixels, 30 frames per second, 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Go to Folder Assets, open it up, open Footage, highlight this fractal and drop it down into the timeline. Right click your mouse, go to Time, enable time remapping. Extend this layer up to the end of your timeline. Then go to Effects and Preset, go to Channel, Set Matte. Go back to Project Panel, highlight this logo texture, drop it down into the timeline. Go back to Fractal and go to Effects Control and change this take matte from layer to logo textured and change the blending mode to multiply. Highlight logo textured, go to Effects and Preset, go to Channel, add Set Matte. Change the take matte from layer to the fractal. This is what we got, as you can see. Now go to Composition, create a new composition. Name it 3D Logo. 1920 by 1080p, 30 frames per second, 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Then go to the Project Panel and drop down this Logo Emerge into the timeline. Enable 3D layer. Go to Effects and Preset. Go to Matte. Add Simple Choker. Move your playhead forward to 1 second and 18 frames. Make a keyframe on the choke matte by hitting the stopwatch. Change the amount to 9.3. Then move forward your playhead to 4 seconds and 10 frames. Change the choke matte value to 0. Highlight the simple choker again. Go to Edit, duplicate it. Then I will highlight this Logo Emerge. Press my keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it 20 times. I will highlight these layers, press my keyboard P for the position, change the Z position on each layer starting from 2. I will just speed it up guys so that you will not wait for long, okay? Now go to Layer, create a new camera. I'm using preset custom camera, click OK. Go back to Layer, create a null object. And I want this null object a 3D layer. Parent the camera to the null object. Press P on your keyboard for the position and Shift R for the rotation. Then I will move back my playhead to 1 second duration. Create a keyframe on the position and on the X rotation. Change the X rotation here to -70 and move forward your playhead to 3 seconds and 15 frames. Press on your keyboard Shift S for the scale. Set the scale value here to 40%. Create a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch on the scale. Create a keyframe on the Y rotation and change the value on the X rotation to 0. Then move your playhead forward to 6 seconds and 15 frames. Set the scale value to 100%. The Y rotation set it to 42. Then move forward your playhead to 8 seconds and 10 frames duration. And set the Y rotation to 0. Highlight all rotation keyframes. Press F9 to easy close it. Now as you can see in here that the logo is gone and we don't want it. So all I have to do is to go back to the fractal. Then go to composition settings. I will change this to 15 seconds. Click OK. Then I will highlight this fractal and right click my mouse. Go to time, enable time remapping. I'll just extend this layer up to the end of my timeline. Go back to 3D logo and now you can see that the logo is visible. This is what we want, okay? Then I will highlight all these rotation keyframes. Press F9 to easy it. Close it. So now let's preview this. Okay, so that's what we want. Go to composition, create a new composition. Name it logo overlay. 1920 by 1080p, 30 frames per second and 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Go to the project panel, drop down this overlay into the timeline. Highlight this logo light animation, drop it down into the timeline, disable the visibility, highlight this overlay layer, go to effects and preset, go to channel and set matte. Change the take matte from layer to logo light animation. Go back to your project panel, open assets, go to footage and drop down this fractal into the timeline. Disable the visibility. Then move your playhead forward to 2 seconds and 22 frames. Go to edit and split the layer. Delete this splitted layer. Then highlight the fractal, right click your mouse, enable time remapping. Then move this keyframe on that duration. Then move your playhead forward to 9 seconds and 2 frames. Move this keyframe backward on that duration. I will highlight this fractal, press my keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Extend this layer at the beginning of my timeline. Press U on my keyboard to see the keyframes. Move my playhead back to the beginning and also this keyframe. Move forward my playhead to 6 seconds and 10 frames duration. I will move back this keyframe on that duration. Now go to layer, create a new solid. I want it black, click OK. Then press T on my keyboard for opacity. Move the playhead backwards to 2 seconds and 25 frames. Then set the opacity here to 0. Create a keyframe on the opacity by hitting this stopwatch. Then move forward your playhead to 7 seconds and 5 frames. Then set the opacity here to 100%. Then highlight this overlay layer. Go to effects control and highlight this set matte. Go to edit, duplicate it. Then change the take matte from layer to fractal. Uncheck this invert matte. Then go to edit and duplicate it again and set the take matte from layer to fractal 2. Then uncheck this invert matte. Go to effects and preset, go to channel and add invert. We will scrub our plate. Let's see. This is what we got and that is what we want. Okay. Now go to composition, create a new composition, name it main comp. 1920 by 1080p, 30 frames per second and 15 seconds duration. Click OK. Then go to your project panel, open the assets, open folder footage and drop down this BG into the timeline. Go to effects and preset, go to color correction, add tritone. Change the mid-tone color here or just type the code 1F4038. Click OK. Go back to your project panel, open it up, drop down this smoke back into the timeline. Press T on the keyboard for opacity. Hit the stopwatch in here to create a keyframe. Move your playhead to 3 seconds. Change the opacity here to 35%. Then go to effects and preset, go to color correction, add curves. Then change the RGB to alpha. Make the graph like this. Then go to effects and preset again, go to color correction, tritone. And then change the color on the mid-tone. I'll just type the code 2C8D8C. take this color picker, choose this color. Then drag this smoke back on top of the BG. Then highlight this both. Change the blending mode to add. Then go to layer, create a new adjustment layer. Go to effects and preset, color correction, curves. I will just darken it a bit like this. Then go back to the project panel, drop down this particle dust into the timeline. Then right click your mouse, go to time, enable time remapping. Extend this layer up to the end of the timeline and also this keyframe. Then go and highlight this particle dust, right click your mouse, pre-compose it. I will name it particle dust. Move all the attributes into the new composition, click OK. Then go to effects and preset, go to color correction, tritone. Change the midtone here, just type the code 43D893, click OK. Go to effects and preset, add curves. Then make your curves like this. Go to effects and preset, go to stylize, glow. Then I will go to edit and duplicate it. Change the glow radius on the glow to 55. Then go to layer, create a new adjustment layer. Now go to effects and preset, go to blur and sharpen, add camera lens blur. Move back your playhead to 8 frames. Go to blur radius and change the blur radius to 12%. Create a keyframe by hitting this stopwatch on the blur radius. Move your playhead forward to 3 seconds and 7 frames. And change the blur radius to 0. Check repeat edge pixels. And go to layer, create a new solid. Click OK. Then move my playhead forward to 1 second and 20 frames. Go to edit and split the layer. Delete this layer. Highlight the black solid. Press T on your keyboard for the opacity and create a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch on the opacity. Move this keyframe on the beginning of your timeline. Change the opacity here to 0. Close it. Now go to project panel, open it up and drop down this logo overlay comp into the timeline. Set the blending mode here to add and also this particle dust. Then toggle switches mode in here, enable 3D layer on the overlay comp. Then highlight the overlay comp, go to effects and preset, go to color correction, add curves and change the curve like this. Then go to color correction, add tritone. Drag this tritone up above the curves. Change the mid-tone color here to 43D983. Click OK. Go back to effects and preset. Go to blur and sharpen. Add CC radial fast blur. Change this center X here to 964. Then the Y, change this to 868. The amount, change this to 94. Then the zoom from standard, change this to brightest. Then highlight this layer and press P on your keyboard for the position. Change the Z position to -16. Then I will highlight this logo overlay comp. Press my keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Then I will delete this CC radial fast blur. Highlight the 3D logo, drop it down into the timeline. Enable the 3D layer, press T on your keyboard for the opacity. Move your playhead to 3 seconds and 10 frames. Create a keyframe by hitting this stopwatch on the opacity. Move forward your playhead to 4 seconds and 5 frames. Set the opacity here to 0. Highlight the keyframes. Press F9 to ease it. I will highlight the 3D logo again. Press on the keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Go back your playhead to the 3 seconds and 10 frames duration and set the opacity value here to 0. Then go to edit and split the layer. Delete this layer. Highlight the logo again. Press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Then move forward your playhead to the 4 seconds and 5 frames duration. Change this opacity value to 100%. Then move forward your playhead to 7 seconds and 15 frames. Hit this tiny diamond in order to create a keyframe on the opacity. Then move forward your playhead to 8 seconds and 25 frames. Set the opacity value here to 0. Then I will highlight this 3D logo again. Press your keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Press U on your keyboard to see the keyframes. Highlight these keyframes and delete it. Then go back your playhead to the 4 seconds and 5 frames. Highlight these keyframes. Move it on that duration. Go to edit. Split the layer. Delete this layer. Then I will highlight this 3D logo below. Go to effects and preset. Go to color correction. Tritone. Then change this color to 18FF00. Click OK. Then go to effects and preset. Stylize glow. And set the glow radius here to 42. Then I will highlight this logo and move my playhead forward to 6 seconds and 20 frames and move this keyframe on that duration. If you see a situation like this, you don't want it, so all I have to do is to highlight the 3D logo, press S on my keyboard for the scale, change the scale to 92%. Then I will open a 3D logo, highlight this null object 1, press U on my keyboard to see the keyframes. All I have to do is to go back my playhead on the 1 second duration, change the scale here to 100%. You can see very small, so all I have to do is to go back to the main and look at that. Then go open project panel, open project assets, open footage and highlight this particle front, drop it down into the timeline. Enable 3D layer, go to effects and preset, go to channel, add solid composite. Change the color to black, go to effects and preset, color correction again, curves, and change the curve like this. Then go to effects and preset, color correction, add tritone. Change the mid-tone color to 12FF00. Click OK. Then I will highlight this particle front. Press on my keyboard Ctrl D to duplicate it. Go to effects and preset. Stylize, add glow. Change the glow radius to 87. Then go to effects and preset. Go to blur and sharpen. Add fastbox blur. Then I want the iterations only 1 and the blur radius is 23. Then go back to the project panel, drop down this smoke front into the timeline. Move forward your playhead to 2 seconds and 20 frames. Press on your keyboard T for the opacity. Set the opacity here to 5%. Click the stopwatch in here on the opacity to create a keyframe. Then move your playhead forward to 3 seconds and 21 frames. Then set the opacity here to 25%. Then move forward your playhead to 6 seconds and 6 frames. Set the opacity here to 6%. Then go to layer, create a new solid. Click OK. Move your playhead forward to the 13 seconds duration. Make sure that the black solid 4 is highlighted. Go to edit and split the layer. Delete this layer. Highlight the black solid 4 again. Press T on your keyboard for opacity. Create a keyframe on the opacity by hitting this stopwatch and change this value to 0 and move forward your playhead at the end of the timeline and change the opacity here to 100%. Highlight this particle front, toggle switches mode in here, change this to screen, change this to add, preview this. So guys, we are done with our tutorial. I hope that you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share it to your friends. And my thoughts for the day is that when you fail, never give up. Because for me, the acronym of fail is first attempt in learning. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. See you next time. God bless.